Yeah, g'day guys. Today I'm going to reveal the new project. Yeah, that's probably it. Let's get into it. So I've got myself a Jeep. Yep. Well, it's sort of a Jeep. It's a Mitsubishi Jeep. So the first part of this project was actually the front grille, which I repaired all the rust and everything in, and then I revealed this little baby. So we've got it's actually a Mitsubishi version of a CJ3B. So someone's done a bit of work on it, like this is all new galvanized steel. Well, some of it's new. Well, it probably was 20 years ago when it was actually done. So someone's done a rough job on it, very rough. The sides must have been horrible for them to replace them completely. The floor in the back is not real good. It's still got the original little catches and tailgate parts and everything like that, which is something I'd have to make, but that's fine. And someone's made a little toolie box. For those who know it, what a 3B looks like. That's sort of where the toolbox is meant to be, and the fuel tank is on this side. So the fuel tank's meant to be under this side of the seat, under the passenger seat. Well, passenger in Australia, it's driver in other parts of the world. Still has the fold down windscreen, still has a little flip out sort of vent at the front. When there's glass in it, I guess it's more effective. So a little tiny dash. The floor's pretty much toast. It's rusted away, so I've got a bit of work there to do. The little steps aren't really, or haven't been done properly, because they're meant to actually join the front fender. Now these fenders and the bonnet was all bought separate. As you can see, the bonnet is a CJ3B, so because it's meant to have that extra blocked in. So I've got a plan for that. She's nearly ready to put it in the workshop and do the rust repairs. But the thing is, what am I going to put it on? Those of you that have been watching my channel for a while know that I don't just do standard things, so it's either custom or out of whatever parts or bits that I can find. So the plan is to put it on a Mitsubishi chassis, as you should. Like this is a Mitsubishi Jeep, and it needs to be on a Mitsubishi chassis of some kind. I guess it originally was on a Mitsubishi chassis. It was manufactured by Mitsubishi. So let's go through the options of what Mitsubishi chassis that I have laying around. Let's have a look-see. So here we have a little Mitsubishi Triton. In Australia it's called a Triton. It's only a little single cab type unit, cab chassis. Four-wheel drive, has locking hubs, a little four-cylinder diesel. I've done a video on getting this running and getting it here, so it's not a bad little unit. It has torsion bar front end with a locking hub. It has solid rear end with leaf spring, which is okay, not exciting, and a good solid chassis. The diff is huge, like for a little Mitsubishi Japanese sort of manufactured, so it could be certainly an option. The motor runs okay, has a 5-speed manual, high-low range, all that. So that's one option. I've got one more option. Let's go and have a look at that. Okay, so here's the other option, and I reckon this is going to be the best option for this particular project. It's a Mitsubishi Shorty, or we call them a Shorty, Pajero. So it's very similar to the Triton chassis. Actually, a lot of the things are quite the same, like some of the cab mounts. They're very similar. Actually, I think the Triton cab would bolt onto it, is what I've been told. Anyway, so it has torsion bar front. Big, long torsion bars go all the way up to the middle there. It doesn't actually have a locking hub, but it does have a accumulator, and it's a mechanism that engages and disengages the actual diff. So the CVs at each side still turn, but the diff itself, it doesn't turn if you don't want to, if that sort of makes sense. But the good part is The rear end in this is a coil. So virtually the same diff, and it's huge. A panhard bar and all the usual sort of stuff. And the coils look exceptionally light. I guess that's what they're meant to be, because the little Jeep body is not heavy. As I'll show you in this little clip here where I moved it to where it's sort of sitting at the minute. Anyway, so the other things with this rear end is its disc brake. They also have a handbrake cable, see the handbrake cable over here. So they've got a little drum in the back, from what I can tell, of the disc rotor. So we've got handbrake cable as well. The part that the actual end of the chassis has been bobbed. Is that the right word? It's had a bob. Anyway, so I've got to extend part of that so the body sits over it. So the back end of the Jeep body, right there, sits over the back. So this is what it looks like with the body on top of it. And if you have a look-see from the rear end, it looks, looks just fine. I do have to extend the chassis by about 14 inches. Overall, okay, let's get into dimensions. You can see that it doesn't quite fit right. And because the CJ 3B is 80 inches of wheelbase, and the Pajero is 93, or is it 94? Anyway, it's around there. So if I want to fit that body and have it sort of look right, I need to either shorten the chassis, which, you know me, I've no trouble to do that, or I extend the body. Now, my sort of thoughts to make it all work, so I've got to basically add 13 to 14 inches in overall length. So my thoughts are just to cut it down in front of the wheel guard there and come straight across the floor, and from the outside here it's basically just cutting down here and follow the wheel guard down, and then just add a piece in there. So the back end will be longer, which will extend the wheelbase, because I don't really want to change where you stand, when you step into the cab itself, and I don't really want to extend the fenders and the bonnet and things like that. This is, from what I can tell, is the easiest way, is just cut down between the fuel cap, the rear wheel guard. So that's sort of the basics of it, is to put the little CJ3B body on top of the Pajero chassis. Now, I haven't exactly worked out what driveline in the sense of motor or transmission yet. I do have an option to go with the Triton motor and box. It's certainly got a good enough transmission transfer case, but I'm not sure if I want a little sluggish, slow old naturally aspirated diesel. It's only 2.2 litre and I can't see it going very fast, unless I turbocharge it. So because I want to get it, you can say engineered or mod plated, to do that here in Queensland, basically all I'm doing is a body swap on a Pajero chassis. Now, the only tricky part is the chassis needs to have a VIN number and a compliance plate and things like that. Now this chassis doesn't, because the chassis number had them on the back part that was bobbed, if that makes sense. So I either need to use a firewall or a VIN number or something else off the Jeep. Now the Jeep body, the Mitsubishi Jeep body, doesn't actually have a compliance plate or anything on it. Why, I don't know. So I've got another option of using the firewall and the floor out of the Triton. Sounds kind of funny. So I would marry the firewall into the Jeep body and use the floor. So one, I don't have to engineer the seat mounts. Two, I don't have to engineer where the brake booster and all the brake pedals and things like that, because they're difficult to get done on a vehicle that has no compliance plate. So, and the third advantage of using the Triton firewall would be to I use the VIN number off of it. So I've already checked it, the VIN number and everything. It's never been a stolen vehicle, or it's not ridden off or anything, although it probably should have been. If you want to see us getting that running, check the video out. The link will be down in the description. But so I'll use the firewall and the floor pan and put it in this Jeep body, if that makes sense. So I can keep the manual, I can keep the brake booster, the steering column and everything out of the Mitsubishi Triton. I might put an aftermarket steering wheel on it. Anyway, so there's lots of things that are an advantage, but the downside is it would probably be registered as a Triton on a Pajero chassis with a Jeep body. It's getting confusing because it may or may not have the Triton motor and box. I might go some other way. So there's lots of different options going. So there's lots of combos and things I need to do to get it across the line for the mod plate guy to be happy, and for me to get it registered. Keeping in mind that it's not a massive engine bay, but in saying that, I'll just cut out whatever I need to cut out as long as everything fits. Yeah, leave a comment below on what you think I should be trying to shoehorn into it, as long as it's four-wheel drive. And a transfer case that actually goes into four-wheel drive. None of this quadra track or all-wheel drive or anything like that. Because I thought about maybe a Barra, but then the only real transfer case that you can bolt up to it is an all-wheel drive version, unless I do a CIG sort of diff lock in the transfer case. Yeah, so I hope you like the project that I'm going to try and put together. It's a Pajero chassis, which I can't really shorten, with a Mitsubishi Jeep replica of a CJ3B body with a Triton firewall and floor pan, so I don't have to worry about seat mounts, seat belt bolts, or anything. So anyway, so there's lots of things that I have to sort of get together and start cutting stuff, and we're going to start that in the very next video. So if you guys have got any questions about this build, certainly leave a comment below and I'll be happy to answer them, to try and clarify anything, because it's a fair bit of confusion with the three different components of the vehicle to make one car. Like, I mean, that's not unusual, but yeah, leave us a comment below on what you think we should use as a drivetrain, or any questions that you got. That'd be awesome. So guys, if you haven't already and you want to follow this build, consider subscribing and give us a thumbs up. That'd be awesome if you've actually liked the video or liked the concept of the video, and we will catch you on the next one. See ya.